In this version, we will add a new post idea, agent-to-agent protocol from Google. I'll note it down here. Okay. There you go. As you can see, it has triggered the flow in N8N, and it's running now. Now it will generate 10 ideas for us to write a chapter about the topic agent-to-agent protocol. Yeah, you can see it's generating right here. These are the ideas for chapters 1 to 10. So, behind the scenes, what's happening is that when we give it a topic, it will call Perplexity AI to do some research based on that initial research. From that initial research, it will grasp the content of this topic, and from there it will suggest the most suitable chapters, the ones most relevant to this topic. So here we have 10 chapters. I'll pick the first 3 chapters, which are open, interoperability, then client-server model, and agent card features. Here, I've already selected 3 subtopics, 3 ideas, to write into 3 chapters. First, its status has to be to do. Second, we need to click this checkbox. When both of these conditions happen at the same time, it will trigger the workflow in N8N so that it does research on these subtopics and writes them. You can see that it's running in the background in N8N. Its status has now changed to in progress. Alright, you can see that it has generated the content for the first chapter, which is about interoperability. And this is the content of that chapter. Now, if we want, we can click here to view and edit it. Here, I'll click here to show more options. We'll select the chapters that we want to write, that we want to include in the final blog post. Here, I'll choose chapter 1 and chapter 2. Now I'll check. After waiting a bit, it will trigger the third flow in N8N, so it can compile these chapters and write the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. That means when I tick this box, it will publish all this content, these images as a final post on our website. Now I'll check again. Wait a bit again for it to trigger the workflow. In N8N, the final flow, this one runs really fast. So this is the final post, created by the workflow, that I just walked through with you all. It will be a fully completed post, similar to the previous workflows. So we'll have a cover image, completely generated by this AI model. Then the title of this article, the introduction, the first chapter about interoperability. Then an illustration for the first chapter. Next is the second chapter, understanding agent cards, and the illustration for the second chapter, then the content of the second chapter. If you've tried generating content automatically with AI, you'll notice it's really hard to control the quality, the output and input exactly as you want. Content automation with AI is like a black box. You feed it some input data, and it gives you an output. That may or may not be what you want, so is there any solution to both leverage the power of AI automation, but still not have to give up full control over the entire process and the quality of the final result? Hello, hi everyone. I'm Minduk. Welcome to my new video. Today, I'm going to introduce to you all my latest N8N workflow. I've named it Human Eye in the Loop. Content Automation Pro with Deep Research, and Airtable for power users. So my team and I have been working hard for the past few weeks to complete version 1.0 of this workflow, so we can launch it for you as soon as possible. And as of today, we've finished the very first version of this workflow, so this is an advanced variant of the WordPress workflow. Auto Blogging Pro with Deep Research. Content Automation Machine. The previous version ran almost 100% automatically. You just needed to provide a topic on the Google Sheet, and the entire workflow would run in automatic mode. It would automatically handle the initial research on this topic, generate ideas for subtopics, then research each subtopic, and based on the research results, it would then write each subtopic into chapters, then create images for each chapter and a cover image for the whole article, then merge everything together into one complete, fully finished article. Besides that, it would also automatically sync text and images to Google Drive, so you can have peace of mind. This helps reduce the workload of all the heavy tasks for content writers, and therefore brings maximum convenience to users who prefer full automation or almost full automation. Full automation. The downside of this approach is that users don't know what's happening inside the workflow, the content creation process. You don't know what input the AI is receiving and what the AI is generating in the intermediate steps. As I mentioned, automation is like a black box. A black box that you can hardly change or control any step in the whole process. You only see the final result at the end of the process. Actually, for many users who want full automation, this isn't really a problem. But for other users, they want to have tight control over the content creation process at every step, wanting to intervene, to review, and to make corrections at each stage. So this is the reason why I came up with the human-in-the-loop approach. With this new workflow, it allows you to collaborate with AI in your content creation process and work together with AI to produce the final result with the highest quality. The special thing about this workflow is that at every step, you'll have the chance to review, evaluate, and edit the AI's output. You can ask AI to suggest ideas for writing, and if you don't like its suggestions, you can tell it to redo them to get more ideas. Or even, you can modify the ideas yourself and adjust the content to your own liking, only when you approve and check off the Continue box will the workflow move on to the next step. And after you're satisfied with the final result, you'll check another confirmation box, and only then will the post be published on your website. At the same time, a copy of the post will also be saved in the database. The name of this template includes human-in-the-loop, which is wordplay. What I mean is that this workflow involves collaboration between humans and AI, but actually, in N8N, there's also a node called human-in-the-loop, but the way it's used for the human-in-the-loop in N8N is actually very different from this workflow of mine. And in this workflow of mine, I don't use the human-in-the-loop from N8N either. However, conceptually, they're quite similar, as both aim to let humans, or people, have the opportunity to participate in the process and control the results produced by AI. Humans have to approve before the workflow can continue, so I just took this phrase to put in the template name. But in the workflow, I don't use the human-in-the-loop node, okay? That node also has some limitations, and we can only give feedback to the AI. So in this workflow, I built it so that we have the highest level of control over every step in the content creation process. Let me explain a bit so you don't get confused and ask me why the template name has human-in-the-loop. But in the workflow, there's no node. Using N8N's human-in-the-loop, this feature is actually pretty cool, so if possible, I'll make a separate video about it, but it won't be in this video. Alright, back to introducing the workflow. In this workflow, I've decided to use Airtable instead of Google Sheets. Why? Because Airtable will serve as the interface to guide you throughout the entire content writing process, and also as a database to store all your content in one place. Airtable is very similar to Google Sheets, except that it's more powerful, more flexible, and supports relational databases, meaning it handles relational databases much better than Google Sheets. Overall, the interface of Airtable is also very similar to Google Sheets. So if this is your first time using Airtable, I think you won't need too much time to get used to it. Oh, right. One more thing, for those of you who are my previous customers who have bought products on my website, please remember to check your email to receive a 34% discount code. Can you guess why it's the number 34? Because April 30th is coming up, so I just picked that number. I still have a lot of slides here, but now let's move straight to the demo while it's still fresh. Alright, in this part, I'll demo for you guys the entire content creation process in Airtable. So the whole journey from idea to published post will be managed inside an Airtable base. It brings transparency and almost absolute control as we move through each tag following the process from left to right. We'll complete the content creation process and produce a final, high-quality article that meets your requirements. Now, first of all, we'll start with the settings table. We need to configure this table. This table will have some global parameters. For example, the website name. Note that the website name here should be nested without the HTTPS at the beginning. We'll just put the domain only. Target audience refers to the audience group. What is our target? We'll enter it here. Then, the style of the article we want. What should it be? Should it be fun and humorous, or informative, or mysterious, or sensational, or whatever style? You can enter it here. For the max word count, the maximum words for an article, enter the number. The number of chapters, this is the number of chapters in the article, but, to explain, it's not actually the number of chapters in the final article, not the final number. To be precise, it's the number of chapter ideas. Ideas for each chapter. For example, instead of setting it to 5, if we set it to 10, it will generate 10 ideas for chapters that it could write. Then from these 10 ideas, we can choose which ones we want to write about, which ideas to use. Each idea will be a chapter. You'll understand what I mean by this in the next step. As for the category, here I'm currently using the ID. So you'll need to go to your website. To find this ID, for example, with my website, you'll go to the Post section, then Category, the Categories section, and here it will display all the categories on your website. Then you'll click on Edit here. Pay attention to the URL here. You'll see something like tag, ID and a number. So this is the ID number of this category. Here, for the last post, I'm going to publish on my website. Under the tutorial category, the ID is 403 in this case, okay? Next is CTA, which stands for Call to Action. You'll also enter the call to action here. About Company is the section for introducing your company. So you'll also enter the company introduction here. Then there's the sitemap XML, which is the field where you can enter the address to your sitemap. For this part, you should read more and do some extra research, okay? With WordPress sites that have SEO installed, then it will automatically generate RA sitemaps for our website, usually the address, to the sitemap of the articles. Post blog, it will be like this. It will be post-sitemap.xml. Here it will list all the links to the blog posts on your website. But maybe for your website, the address of this XML sitemap might not be this address, so you'll need to double check. Yeah, here, if you look at this example, we need to enter the exact link to the post sitemap. Okay, then, besides that, there are two more fields, sitemap renew and deeper research. These are just placeholder fields. I'm just leaving them here for now, but they don't actually do anything yet. In the next versions, I'll make use of these two fields. The sitemap renew field means it lets you refresh this. When you refresh the sitemap, it will run again to crawl the list of the latest posts on your website. Otherwise, it will save and leave there. The deeper research field is clear. I mentioned it. It's basically a more in-depth research, a two-layered research process. We can use this when we want to write in-depth reports or really long ebooks, or very long blog posts, in-depth, covering all aspects. Then this is the settings table. This version will serve as the default input for our workflow. The second version is the Create Topics version. In this version, we will add new blog post ideas. For example, here I will pick a pretty new topic, which is Google's agent-to-agent protocol. I'll write here, Google agent-to-agent A2 Pro. So this will be a topic for me to add into the workflow to automatically create a blog post and publish it on my website. So to activate the next step, which is to generate chapter ideas for this topic, we'll need to make sure of two conditions. First, the status must be to do. And second, we have to tick this execute flow option. Now I'll tick it. I'll wait a bit for it to activate the first flow in N8N. So when it activates, the status will change from to do to in progress. As you can see here, it has activated the flow in N8N, and it's running now. So what does this first flow do? It will delete all the existing content. On these tables, it will clear out all the old content. And now, after deleting everything, it will generate new chapter ideas for us to choose from. Just now, in the settings section, we set the number of chapters is 10. Now it will generate 10 ideas for us. To write chapters about the topic agent-to-agent protocol, you can see it's already generating them here. These are the ideas for chapters 1 to 10. So, behind the scenes, when we give it a topic, it will call Perplexity AI, so it can do some initial research. From that initial research, it will grasp the content of this topic. And from there, it will suggest the most suitable chapters that are most relevant to this topic for us to write in the blog post. So these are the 10 chapters that it suggests for us. We can continue by clicking on the next step. If we are already satisfied with the AI's suggestions, then we can move on to the next step, which is to select the chapters for it to write. If not, we can go back here. We can also return to this topic, and we edit the status to do, then it will delete these chapters. And run again to generate new chapter ideas. Do you remember? Meaning, to activate the workflow, it needs to meet both conditions. The status must be to do, and this execute flow must be checked. That's the reason why we need to have both of these fields and meet both conditions, to do, and the checkbox. Then it will trigger the workflow on N8N. Alright, now for example, I'll pick topics 1, 2, 3, right? We can select all 10 topics, or even 20 topics. That's fine too if we want to write longer articles. But here, since this is just a demo, I'll choose just 3 topics, okay? To make it quick for the demo for you guys. Now let's move on to the next table. The fourth table is select chapter, or more precisely, select chapter idea. So here, we'll choose the ideas for the topics that we're going to write about. Next step. In this table, we'll review the chapters that were suggested in the select chapter table. Now we'll pick the chapters that we want to continue learning. So here, there are 10 chapters. I'll pick the first 3 chapters, Open, Interoperability, and then Client, Server Model and Agent Card Features. Here, I selected 3 subtopics, 3 ideas to turn into 3 chapters. In my clock project, it's similar. Here, we have 2 fields, status and execute, for it to move to the next step. We need to make sure both conditions are met. First, its status has to be to do. Second, we need to click this checkbox. Now I'll click here, okay? Similarly, when both of these conditions happen at the same time, it will trigger the workflow in N8N so that it does research on these subtopics to write about them. You can see that it's running in the background in N8N. Its status has now changed to in progress. That means, on N8N, it's calling the research tool to do research on these 3 topics that we selected. Then from that research, it will generate the content for those 3 topics. The content that it writes out will be automatically filled into the next table, which is the 5th table called Generate Content. More specifically, it's Generate Chapter Content. Alright, so you can see that it has already created the content for the first chapter, which is about interoperability. And here is the content of that chapter. Now, if we want, we can click here to view and edit it. Here, I'll click here so it shows more. So here, if you want, you can click to make edits. There, it's finished writing the 2nd chapter about agent cards and the 3rd chapter. This breaking barrier seems a bit similar to the 1st chapter, right? Here, I notice that the 1st chapter and the 3rd chapter seem to overlap a bit. So I'll remove the 3rd chapter and just keep the 1st chapter and the 2nd chapter only. If I want, I can edit here according to my own ideas. Yeah. After I'm satisfied, happy with the content of the chapters, then we'll move on to step 6, select content, or more precisely, select chapter content, which means we'll choose the content of the chapters that we want to include in the blog post. In this table, we'll review the table that the AI generated directly in Airtable. We'll select the chapters that we want to write, that we want to include in the blog post. I'll choose Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, not Chapter 3. To activate next step, writing the complete article. Finally, I'll need to make sure of two things. The series must be set to do, and this execute flow box has to be checked. Now I'll check it, then wait a bit and it will trigger the third flow. In N8N to compile these chapters, write the introduction, the body, the conclusion, and add extra information like image prompts for each chapter, so that in the next step, it will create a complete article, and it will automatically fill in the fields in this table. Let's wait a bit. This third flow will compile the content of the approved chapters. It will write the introduction, the body, write the entire article, create the title, generate SEO meta titles and meta descriptions, chapter images and featured images. Then it puts all the compiled information into the 7th table, which is the finalized post table, for you to review and make final edits. Alright, it's finished running, everyone. Now we will continue to move on to the next step, which is the 7th table, finalize post, or more precisely, finalize and publish post, meaning to complete and publish the article. That's it, but because if we leave it like that, it's too long, so I just shortened it to finalize post. So in this table, we can see that there will be a lot of fields for the final post, like the title, the entire content of the article with an introduction, body, and conclusion. The images have also been uploaded to the website and linked to each chapter, so every chapter will have its own image. Here's the image link on my website. That's it. So this is the final post. It has combined all the sections together. You can see this is the conclusion section, final thought. Then there's the call to action, and here is the About Us section. These are the parts that we included in the initial settings. Do you remember? Now it puts together the post. We'll have other fields, like the field for tags, these tags, the related tags for this post, and then search, which is basically the URL, the link to this post, excerpt, which is the summary of the post, and the SEO title and SEO description. So this excerpt will be automatically added to WordPress. But for these two fields, SEO title and description, you'll need to add them manually. Okay. Then the last field is the feature image, which is the cover image. So here, we can also see the cover image of this post as well, which is also automatically generated in the N8N workflow. Alright, here you'll have another chance to check everything and make edits if you want. So the returned result is actually in HTML. So actually, if you want to check it, you'll need to copy the content of this post into a tool. So it lets you review the post in HTML format. Once you're satisfied with the final version of the post, now we want it to automatically post to the website. Similarly, we'll need to make sure of two things. First, the status has to be to do, and second, this checkbox here needs to be checked. Here, I've named this box Post to Website, to make it easier to understand, meaning that when I tick this box, it will post all of this content, these images as a final post on our website. Now I'll check it. Let's wait a bit for it to trigger the workflow. In N8N, the final flow. This one runs really fast, so this fourth and final flow will publish the post to the website and create a record to save in the 8th table. And the last record is the backup post. So as you can see here, the very last row is the content of the latest topic we entered, which is Google Agent-to-Agent Protocol. This is the title of the post. This is the content of the post. These are the tags. This is the excerpt summary, SEO title, SEO description, cover image, and a link to the post on the website. Now I'll click here. So this is the latest post created by the workflow that I just walked through with you all. This will be the final completed post. Just like the previous workflows, we will have a cover image, completely generated by this AI model. Then the title of this post, the introduction to the first chapter about interoperability, and then an illustration for the first chapter. Then the second chapter, Understanding Agent Cards, and the illustration for the second chapter. Then the content of the second chapter. And in each of these chapters, it will add at least one internal link, that is, a link to another. blog post on our website. So this is another blog post, also about the topic of the agent-to-agent protocol. Or up here, it's actually a different article. Because before I made this video, I also ran a demo. So I already had a few other posts on this topic so it could find the link, related articles on this topic that are already available on the website. And finally, the conclusion section, the final thought, the call to action, and an introduction about the company. So it's all been combined at the end of the article. So this is the whole thing. The article was created by the workflow just now. What do you think? Do you find it interesting? As I mentioned, the special thing about this workflow is that we have full control at every step of content creation. We have the opportunity to interact with the AI and see the results generated by the AI, and if we want, we can edit them according to our preferences or ask the AI to redo it, rewrite it. Then, at the next step, we get another chance to review, edit and select the things we want, continue to the next step, so that by the end of the process, we have an article exactly the way we want it. We will have plenty of opportunities to participate and collaborate with the AI throughout the entire process. Alright, I also have another slide for comparison. 3 workflows for WordPress blog automation that I have published and are currently available on my web shop. So, the first of these 3 is the human in the loop, which is the newest one. The second is deep research, and the third is SEO. I have a few criteria here for comparison, because I noticed that it seems like many of you are a bit, confused, a bit mixed up, not sure about these workflows. What are their similarities and differences? So I made this table here in case you're interested and are looking to buy the products on my web shop. So you have a basis to make a decision on which product to buy, which workflow. Right, here I have 4 criteria. Actually, there are 5 criteria if you add the price criterion as well, because the prices are different too. Alright, the first criterion is human intervention. Intervention here means whether we, as humans, can participate. Can we control that workflow? Or the steps within that workflow? Second, does it have the research online feature integrated? Can it do deep research? Third, does that workflow run on autopilot? Meaning, it will automatically run from start to finish. We just give it a keyword or a topic. Then it will automatically run from start to finish. Fourth, what is its interface? What tool does it use? And the fifth, I didn't write it, but it's the price. So, these workflows have different prices. And of course, the more advanced it is, the more powerful it is, the higher the price will be. So that's basically it. The human in the loop, this one allows. We have control over every step in the content creation process. It has an integrated deep research feature. And actually, I already have plans to upgrade this. Deep research into deeper research. Meaning, research that goes 2 layers deep. In this first version, it doesn't have that yet, but for sure, I'll integrate it in the next version. I'll talk more about this in the next section. Alright, as for autopilot, this can't run automatically. You'll need to check and approve each step. Then this workflow will proceed. That's exactly the special point, the strong advantage of this workflow. So if you're someone who wants a fully automated workflow, then this one isn't for you, huh? Alright, its interface is also another point of difference, because this time I decided to go with Airtable. Since it's more powerful, has more features, is more customizable, and it supports relational databases, which are databases with relationships. Later, when we get to the demo section, I'll talk a bit about Airtable. Alright, the workflow. The second one is deep research, and this one doesn't have any human intervention. If people can't participate in its steps, then it's deep research. Of course, it has the feature to do online research and deep research, and it will also be updated with deeper research in the next few weeks. On autopilot, it means this can run completely automatically, and its interface uses Google Sheets, which is very simple and user-friendly. Alright, the third and final one I'm selling is related to the topic of creating automatic relationships, and it has the keyword SEO. This one doesn't allow people to control these steps, so it also doesn't have the feature to do online research. That means the content it generates is entirely based on AI models to write. It doesn't look for any additional research or outside information, so it can't write about news That just happened recently, or topics that are time sensitive. On autopilot is checked. This one can run completely automatically. You just need to give it a topic. And the interface is just like deep research. It will run with Google Sheets, and you'll be working on Google Sheets. Okay, this is another pretty long video. In this video, I've explained in great detail my latest N8N workflow, which is human-in-the-loop content, Automation Pro with Deep Research and Airtable for power users. The name is so long, I'm out of breath just reading it. If you're interested, just click on the link to this product on my website to learn more. And for my previous customers, like I mentioned before, remember to check your email. There will be a code just for returning customers, so you can buy this template at a 34% discount. Yeah, okay, if you're still here watching up to this point, then thank you so much. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.